So, let's talk about this. How good is your English? I mean, we throw that phrase around all the time, but what does it actually mean? Well, today, we're going to break it all down, step by step. And it really kicks off with this question right here. Have you ever thought about the difference between being fluent and being proficient? You know, a lot of us might think we're pretty advanced, but that gap between just being able to have a conversation and being truly proficient, wow, it can be huge. So, how do we actually measure that? Well, in the world of linguistics, we have a tool for that. It's called the CEFR scale. Think of it like our roadmap for today's journey. It's going to take us all the way from A1, that's kind of your basic survival English, up to the peak of the mountain, C2, which is true mastery. All right, so let's start at the beginning, right? The foundations. We're talking about the A levels. These are the absolute building blocks of everyday English.
Okay, so at this first level, A1, it's all about really concrete, everyday stuff. I mean, look at this question. It seems super simple, right? But what it's really testing is a key functional difference between two places you might find a book.
And there it is, laid out plain and simple. You borrow from a library, but you buy from a bookstore. And that right there, that kind of clear separation between two similar ideas is exactly what A1 vocabulary is all about. It's practical, it's functional, it's about what you do in the real world. Okay, let's climb up a rung to A2 and see how things evolve. At this point, you're doing more than just surviving. You're starting to actually describe the world, talk about your daily routines and handle basic situations when you're traveling. So a typical A2 question might look something like this. The word we're hunting for here is, of course, fix. It's a super common, really practical verb that starts to open up a whole new level of description. And here's the key thing about A2. It's about understanding how one little word, like fix, can be a key that unlocks a bunch of different doors. You're not just fixing a broken bike anymore. Now you're fixing a date to meet someone or even talking about fixing a relationship. See how that works? All right, now we're moving into the intermediate zone, the B levels. This is where things start to get really interesting. Your language becomes way more nuanced, way more flexible. You're starting to get ready for things like work and more complex conversations. So check out this B1 level question. It's asking for a synonym for stubborn. This is a real step up because it's not just about knowing one word, it's about knowing multiple words for the same idea. And the correct answer here is obstinate. And that's the telltale sign of B1. Knowing a more formal, maybe less common word like obstinate to mean the same thing as stubborn, it shows you can play with different levels of formality. You have more tools in your toolbox. Okay, now we're hitting B2, upper intermediate. This is where, for a lot of people, the language really comes alive. We're talking about the kind of precise, specific language you need for business meetings, for debates, for really getting into the details of a discussion. All right, get ready for a great B2 level puzzle. You've got 3 words for looking: gaze, stare, and glance. Which one just doesn't fit with the others? The answer here is all about a really, really subtle difference in what they mean. And here's the solution, and it perfectly shows what B2 is all about. A gaze and a stare, those are long, drawn-out looks. But a glance, that's super quick. Bam, it's over. Understanding that hidden layer of meaning, like how long an action takes, that's what separates B2 from the levels below it. And now we've reached the summit. This C levels. We are now in the territory of seriously sophisticated, academic, and super specific language. This is where you show true mastery. So a C1 question is going to test your handle on these kinds of advanced concepts. Take the word inevitable. If something is inevitable, what does that mean? It means it will happen, period. There's no stopping it. See, a word like inevitable just carries this incredible weight of certainty. It's so much more powerful than saying something is likely or probable. And grabbing onto that level of precision, that's the signature move of a C1 speaker. And here we are, the final challenge. C2. This is the kind of question that might even make a native English speaker stop and think for a second. We need a very specific word here to describe an employee who's lazy and avoids their work. This is just a perfect example of the C2 challenge. You've got these 3 words. They all kind of sound the same, but their meanings are worlds apart. Insolent is rude. Indigent is poor. The one we're looking for, the C2 word for being lazy, is indolent. This is what we mean by the pinnacle of vocabulary precision. Okay, so we've climbed this whole ladder all the way from A1 to C2.
let's just take a breath and step back for a second. What does it all mean? What does this journey really represent?
Now, the full quiz where these examples came from has 36 questions in total. As we walked through these together, think about it. Which levels felt easy, comfortable? And where did you start to feel the challenge kick in? But here's the real takeaway from all this. It's not about a score. It's not about passing a test or getting a certain number of questions right. It's about something way bigger. And honestly, way more powerful than that. It all comes down to one word: precision. That entire journey from A1 all the way up to C2 is about one thing: gaining the power to be more and more precise with your language. It's the difference between saying someone is just not nice versus calling them insolent, or saying something will probably happen versus knowing it's inevitable. It's about finding that one perfect word for that one perfect moment. And that really brings us to the final idea I want to leave you with. Every single new word you learn is like adding a new tool to your workshop. It's a tool that lets you express yourself more clearly, more powerfully, more precisely. So the real question is, what word will you learn next?